What if I told you that Andrew Berry just revealed the Cleveland Browns' master plan, and it might just include the most talked about quarterback prospect in the country? Buckle up, Browns fans, because this is about to get real. After weeks of silence, after the most embarrassing coaching search in recent memory, after watching candidates flee Cleveland like it was on fire, our general manager finally opened up. And what he said changes everything. This isn't just about hiring Todd Monken. This is about a complete philosophical revolution that's about to rock this franchise to its core. Let me paint you a picture of where we're at right now. 4 months, Browns Nation has been stuck in limbo, watching this organization stumble through a coaching search that became a national punchline. Coaches withdrew. Candidates chose other teams. The entire NFL world was asking one simple question: does Cleveland even know what it's doing? The answer, according to Berry's Bombshell interview, is more complicated and more fascinating than anyone expected. Here's the headline that should make every single Browns fan sit up and pay attention. Berry just confirmed that this offense is broken beyond repair and needs to be completely rebuilt from the ground up. Now, I know what you're thinking. We already knew that. But here's the difference. This is the first time the general manager has publicly admitted it without sugarcoating, without making excuses, without blaming injuries or bad luck. Berry looked the situation dead in the eye and said what we've all been screaming for years: this offense is a disaster, and we're going to fix it. But it gets so much better. Berry dropped an absolutely crucial detail about where the Browns were in 2020 versus where they are now, and this comparison tells you everything you need to know about what's coming next. Back in 2020, when Berry first arrived, Cleveland had just drafted Baker Mayfield. The offense had potential. The defense was held together with duct tape and prayers. So the Browns invested everything into the defense, building it into one of the league's most dominant units. Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward, a defensive system that actually works. Now, complete reverse. The defense is set. The offense is the patchwork disaster that needs every ounce of investment the organization can muster. Berry didn't dance around this. He flat out said that anyone watching Browns football with 2 eyes can see exactly where the money needs to go this offseason. That's not subtle. That's not corporate speak. That's a general manager telling you he's about to throw everything at fixing this broken offense. And here's where it gets absolutely wild. When Berry talked about why Todd Monken was the guy, he emphasized something that should send chills down your spine if you're excited about the future of this team. Monken isn't some rigid system guy who forces players into predetermined roles. He's worked with mobile quarterbacks, pocket passers, limited quarterbacks, star quarterbacks, air raid systems, power run games. You name it, he's done it. Berry specifically praised Monken's ability to adapt to personnel rather than forcing personnel to adapt to him. Think about what that means. For years, Cleveland has been trying to jam square pegs into round holes, forcing quarterbacks to run Kevin Stefanski's system, whether it fit their skill set or not. Now they've hired a coach who builds the system around the quarterback's strengths. Why would you do that unless you're planning to bring in a new quarterback and maximize every ounce of his potential from day one? Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room, or should I say, the Heisman finalist who's been dominating conversations in Cleveland for months, Shedeur Sanders. Berry never said his name. Not once. But when you connect the dots, when you really listen to what the GM is telling us, the picture becomes crystal clear. Cleveland has 2 first-round picks. Berry admitted that must feel great as they head to Indianapolis for the Combine. 2 first-round picks gives you options. You can trade up if you need to lock down your quarterback. You can take a quarterback with 1 pick and surround him with weapons using the other. You can be aggressive and bold, which is exactly what this franchise desperately needs. Here's why Shedeur Sanders fits perfectly into what Berry described. Monken can work with any style of quarterback. Shedeur isn't one-dimensional. He can throw from the pocket, extend plays, process information at lightning speed, and adapt to different offensive schemes. His football IQ is off the charts, which means he could execute whatever system Monken wants to implement without needing years of development. Berry also emphasized culture and alignment, talking about how they discussed organizational philosophy with coaching candidates during interviews, not after hiring them. And here's the thing about Shedeur. At just 22 years old, he's shown more maturity, business savvy, and media presence than most veteran quarterbacks. He understands what it means to lead a franchise, to handle pressure, to represent an organization. This isn't some kid who's going to crumble under the weight of Cleveland's expectations. This is someone who's been prepared for this moment his entire life. The timeline works perfectly, too. Shedeur isn't some raw developmental project who needs to sit for 3 years. He started at Jackson State, then dominated at Colorado. He's ready to compete immediately, which matters desperately for a Browns organization that's completely out of patience. Ownership won't tolerate another multi-year rebuild. Fans won't accept another excuse-filled season. Cleveland needs someone who can step in right now and give this offense a pulse. Berry also revealed something fascinating about how they'll evaluate quarterbacks moving forward. Instead of starting with rigid system requirements that limit your options, they're beginning with macro playing philosophy. Monken's flexibility naturally expands a player pool, which means Cleveland isn't locked into one specific type of quarterback anymore. They can evaluate purely on talent and potential rather than whether a guy fits predetermined parameters. That opens the door wide for Shedeur Sanders. He might not be the biggest or most athletic quarterback in this draft, but his accuracy, decision-making, and intelligence are elite level. In a system built around his strengths, with a coach who knows how to develop young players, that's a recipe for success. Speaking of development, Berry specifically mentioned hearing incredible things about Monken's ability to work with young quarterbacks. That emphasis on player development screams that Cleveland is preparing to draft someone and actually nurture him properly instead of throwing another veteran Band-Aid at the problem. Shedeur is fundamentally sound. He doesn't need to be rebuilt from scratch. He just needs the right coaching to make the jump from college to pro, and Monken's track record suggests he's exactly the mentor Shedeur needs. Now here's the part that should make everyone's eyebrows shoot up. Throughout this entire interview, Berry talked extensively about offensive investment, coaching philosophy, roster construction, and quarterback flexibility. You know who he never mentioned? Not even once. Deshaun Watson. The quarterback currently under contract for multiple years at an absolutely astronomical salary cap number. That silence is deafening. If the Browns still believe Watson was the answer, you'd expect some mention of building around him or maximizing his abilities. The complete absence of any Watson discussion suggests Cleveland has mentally moved on, even if they haven't figured out the contract mess yet. And here's the reality. Drafting Shedeur Sanders would effectively end the Watson era in Cleveland. You can't invest significant draft capital in a quarterback and then have him sit behind a veteran who's proven he's not the answer. If Cleveland drafts Shedeur, he's the starter from day one. Watson either accepts a backup role which his ego would never allow, or the Browns figure out a trade or release that minimizes the cap damage. Neither option is pretty, but both are better than pretending Watson is suddenly going to return to 2020 form. The free agent quarterback market this year is absolutely terrible. There aren't any legitimate franchise options available, which means if Cleveland wants to solve this position long-term, they have to do it through the draft. Those 2 first-round picks give them the firepower to trade up if necessary, to guarantee they get their guy instead of hoping he falls to them. Berry has proven he'll be aggressive when he identifies a franchise-changing player. He traded up for Greg Newsome. He's made bold moves in free agency. If he's convinced Shedeur Sanders is the answer at quarterback, there's every reason to believe he'll do whatever it takes to secure him. Everything Berry revealed in this interview points in one direction: massive offensive investment, coaching flexibility, quarterback development, and a willingness to make bold moves. That sounds an awful lot like a franchise preparing to draft Shedeur Sanders and build the entire offense around him. The pieces are falling into place, Browns fans. The coaching staff that can maximize any quarterback's potential. The draft capital to move up and get your guy. The organizational commitment to fixing this broken offense once and for all. And potentially, the most NFL-ready quarterback prospect in this entire draft class. This is the most important offseason in Cleveland Browns history. The decisions made in the next few months will determine whether this franchise finally escapes decades of dysfunction or continues spinning its wheels in mediocrity. If you're not already subscribed to Browns Breakout, hit that button right now because we're going to break down every single move, every rumor, every development as this unfolds. Like this video, drop a comment telling me if you think Shedeur is coming to Cleveland, and let's ride this roller coaster together. The Andrew Berry era just got a whole lot more interesting, and Browns Nation deserves to know exactly what's coming next.